Okay. Well, how do you begin the shop talk? I talk first and then there are questions. Okay. Down here, I have a piece that isn't running right now. It was a performance piece.
Kept looking at her, trying to get her to smile, and
Yeah.
then we realized she wasn't able to see us.
Yeah, so there's a certain kind of space that's created by the recording and what you're seeing. You know, the microphone feed and this live video feed and the text feed. You know, this text being displayed kind of yeah, it shapes the space maybe in the way that you experience it. So I'm very interested in people kind of figuring that out. I was actually worried that it would be too quick to figure out and that it wouldn't be fun. But I think that there was enough going on that it kind of masked some things, or maybe some of the noise in the room, and just having to navigate through people made it into more of a puzzle. And not that it's just something like a puzzle to solve, and then once you solve it, you move on, but more that there's something about the process of discovery there that I think is exciting, and that even if people don't get the kind of concepts that I'm talking about with information and stuff from it, I'm not interested in them taking that away from it. More so just kind of having a different kind of experience of having their words transformed through a process than they typically get.
Are you guys ready to go upstairs? Okay.
Should somebody put up on there?
Oh, just one thing. I was like, this is like a really quiet podcast.
Oh, you might need to resize the window. You can see the. So I call this my Ethernet piece, or the internet room, or TV internet. It's set up so you can sit down and surf the internet, but looking at this television. And what happens is when you load pages or click on links, whenever you cause anything to be loaded, it's set up so you can see and hear the physical action of loading data on the computer. So what I did is I cut open it's connected by an Ethernet cable into the wall, and I cut open the cable and I attached an audio cable to that, and then I attached the video cable to that, and so what you're hearing is the actual sound of the electronic pulses coming out of the computer to the amplifier. So
That's not at all. That's great.
yeah, and I meant to have I have drawings of this piece that show what's happening, but I ran out of time, so I didn't put them up. But then I'm here, so it's okay. Yeah, so sort of what made me want to do this is that just thinking about the internet is something that exists beyond the World Wide Web. You know, we have this software, World Wide Web, that was created in the early 90s, and which we all use to access the internet. It's the primary entry point into using the computer networks in the world. Is this one piece of software that represents itself in a certain way as a page of text and images. But I see the possibility of other kinds of uses of the internet, or other sorts of softwares, or other kinds of computers, just sort of some other kind of thing that's beyond what we're currently using, which is becoming really glossy and sort of like a lot of really narrowly packaged formats. Like, you know, I really only use a few different websites. You know, everything's kind of contained within Google or Facebook or YouTube. And there's a kind of stability that comes across through those formats. Like, you look at this kind of glossy screen, you see the bright browser with clear text, and you click on a link, and then if everything's working fine, then it just flashes to the next page, and you don't see that there's this kind of physical turbulence that carries you there. And you don't see that by you pressing on that link, you're physically making an action in the world. You're pressing something out through the wall into this cable and kind of physically manipulating the internet with your body. So this is kind of set up in the way that I've been researching the system. So you can see all the different, I'm using guitar pedals and kind of just assembling an apparatus to get this effect that I'm looking for. But hoping that people sit down and kind of just load some pages and feel that when they click on the link that they hear the sound. And last night I had it a bit louder so you could maybe feel the sound in your body some more. Are there any questions about this piece?
Well, it's kind of funny to me that it seems like it's sitting on a static page, but it's still
Yeah.
doing something. Maybe that's the ads.
Yeah, one thing is that there are cookies or scripts that track how long you're on pages and things like that. There's a lot going on behind the scenes there that isn't made visible. And then also on our network, there's so many computers connected to each other, and they're all kind of talking to each other. So when you're connected here, it's kind of pinging all the different computers at the school, being like, okay, you're there, you're there, you're there. So that might be some of that activity that you're seeing and hearing here. Yeah.
So why is it going through the old TV and being like, you know, just broken up into that one little section, I guess, what was the...
Well, I think it got a little nudged around, but I'm interested in the kind of, it's being remediated, you know? So there's this camera over here that's filming the screen, and then it's coming back up. So there's a little, maybe a bit of a sense of removal from this screen. You know, I kind of want to create the sense that you're like an opportunity to experience this content, this web content, but on a different screen, and maybe through a different kind of image carrier.
Well, I think it goes further in making this a visceral experience. Like, it makes you aware, it makes you question what it is that you're actually doing when you're surfing.
We were talking about altering given the formats that we're all so used to as well.
Yeah, like this is old, but it's like, it makes you have a totally different viewing experience than like the standard, like pristine Apple screen.
It's funny. Yeah, I look at that camera and I think, is that what I am when I'm looking at a computer? It is.
The small TV that you have going on here too is the TV that I had. My first TV when I was a child was like, I have my own TV and it's the tiniest.
Yeah, it's this little TV, so it brings you
this
into
close
this
to
kind
the-
of personal
it's mine.
space.
You know, I think for me, it reminds me of more of the complexity of the internet, you know, and how, because you get so used to just sitting down and being able to just click and go, and this just brings out how much there is that's behind all that.
Yeah. It's sort of, when I first started using the internet, it was dial-up, so there were a lot more sounds. You could
Right.
hear the sounds of the modem, and it took a long time to do everything. So you had a lot more experiences of the kind of frictions and turbulences and just more the physicality of connecting, and the fact that you were in your space and you were reaching out and connecting to something that was in another space. Something about those sounds and just the act of dialing.
Right.
Having to make the connection intentionally. So there's a relationship between those modem sounds and some of these sounds that I'm interested in here.
How are you able to make the data audible?
It's just, so when you connect an Ethernet cable into the wall, there's just electronic signals coming out of it. It's getting, it's just, I don't really know the whole technological picture there, but it is sending out electricity. So there's a little signal coming out that's sending all the packets out into the internet. So all you have to do to hear it is to just cut open that cable, pick the one you want to hear, and then attach another cable to it. Hang over here. I'm not making it super visible. At one point I was thinking of pointing the camera at that and doing a second channel to show that image too. But yeah, there's just the green cables are the receiving cables. So I just cut them open and soldered audio cables onto them. And it's going into this preamp, which is making the sound louder. And then it's going into this delay pedal, which is giving it a tonality. If you turn this off, yeah. So it's a little bit of static. So the tonality gives it some color. And then it's just being amplified again through this speaker, and then through these. So it's actually a very quiet sound, but it's this very quiet static. And then to get the video, it's just a Y cable. So the video from the camera is going into one side, and then the sound is coming into the other side, and they're going into the input on the TV. So it's just, so what this is it's the signal coming out from the Ethernet cable is interrupting the video signal and creating this distortion. Gonna move on? Yeah, this was 2 live feeds. Right now, these videos are off because it got too cold last night, and I had to take the computers down that were serving the video. This computer was displaying a Skype live video feed of the inside of a shed that I built, and that monitor was displaying the outside of the shed. And so I had 2 computers in the woods in Rubbermaid bins. One was in a Rubbermaid bin, the other one was in the shed. And they were, yeah, just bringing that space into this space. When I came out here, I knew that it was a sculpture school, a sculpture and ceramics school, and so I was looking forward to learning about working with materials and trying to work more dimensionally than I had been. I'd done filmmaking work before coming here, but I knew that there was going to be opportunities to learn about how to make a structure here. So when I got here, I decided that I wanted to make a shed. And luckily my landlord, this guy Pete Roberts, he built his own house, and so he knows about building. And my roommate, Jonas Lindberg, was a sculpture grad student here, and also he had previously worked in construction. So I was able to learn a lot from those 2 guys, and last April was able to build this 10-foot by 20-foot shed. And I wanted to show that piece in this show because it was an important project for me. But I couldn't move it here, so I was interested maybe in like thinking about this idea of bringing different sites into conversation with each other. So I have some pieces here being shown in this space, and trying to think of a way to bring some of the shed here but to transform it to make it work with this space in this show. So I thought that this was a way of doing that, to provide a sort of like a small kind of enclosed seating area to look into those spaces. And this wood is some of the same material that the shed was built out of.
I thought it was really cool that you arranged for the shuttle last night. How do you feel about that? Did you get any good feedback about?
Yeah, it seemed to work. I think people got up there. Jonah said that the shuttle was full a few times.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got up there at the end of the night, everything was still good in there. So
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. Inside the shed, I had another sculpture that I made that was a couple hundred slate tiles that I laser engraved a website on. And so the shed became this sort of house for this abandoned conspiracy theory website.
Oh.
And so it was a place that you could go into and sort of go through a shelf that had all the tiles on it, and some were displayed on a table.
I really liked going up there because I'd never been there before, and not knowing anything about Pete, and then seeing this property that he's created, and then maybe like you guys playing around and like building this barn, and the whole space just looked like it was. I think what we decided was in flux. Everything was just moving, and it was like this construction zone of just like imagination and creation, and like it was just really eerie being, Jonas's beard, and he's wearing his camouflage jacket, driving the shady van up to this spot in the woods.
Yeah, I was lucky with the van that he gave me. He gave me a gray 12-passenger van. It was perfect.
Yeah. So, but it was neat because I felt like we were the first van to go up, and everyone was kind of asking Jonas questions about like where are you taking us, and so he was talking about the property a little bit, and it was kind of neat to see that like this was like a project within your guys' relationship with Pete.
Yeah. Jonas did a bunch of work up there too, and Pete's also an artist, and he's currently building a log cabin up there. It's going to have a sauna in it.
Oh.
He's a very interesting guy. He also designs different kinds of triangular concrete blocks that interlock. But he's an interesting person. He was very excited that I wanted to get into building, so he gave me some land to build the shed on. He was really supportive of me doing it. But that's actually a good point too, because when I spent a couple weeks researching how to move the shed down here. I was going to put it on the grass outside, and I was real serious about doing it. And I had meetings with contractors, and we were driving around and measuring the power lines, and I spent a lot of time on that actually. But then when I brought one of the guys up to the site of the shed, he was sort of looking around. What is this place? And then I realized that I already had something really valuable, which is this context in this kind of strange and exciting big construction zone full of giant piles of clay and barn wood and my shed and then the house that Pete built for himself. And it sort of has an interesting context already. So then I gave up on moving it and decided to leave it there. So the guy did help me solve that problem anyways, because bringing him up there taught me that I needed to leave it there. And then over here I have and this is originally going to be a sort of an object for a video installation that related to the piece in the shed, but I decided that was going to be too much in that direction, and so I also didn't have enough time to make these prints that I wanted to make that kind of drew from my drawings and would get some of my thoughts and some text that I'd written into this space. So I just took all the pages that I liked that I was going to work from and put them on there. And the way that it's, the height and the way that it's set up encourages people to kind of flip through them and explore some of this stuff. And I saw a couple people took them over there and were sitting on the benches, and I thought that was nice too. And then the last piece in the hall is this video that I made pretty shortly after I arrived here last year, and it was kind of, I wanted to mostly show new stuff here, but then I needed something to end this hallway with, and I had one more block, and it all kind of came together where the color of the block and the color of the monitor worked really well with what's happening in the video with these steel plates that have butter in between them. And then over the course of 15 minutes, the butter all melts and the plates kind of collapse. And this came out of, I was thinking about creating joints in a body and or in a building, and thinking of how you could make structures or forms that have joints that decay or that collapse under certain conditions. And so I did a series of these videos, but this is my favorite one.
Were you also freezing?
Yeah, that's true. In order to strengthen the bond between the metal and the butter, I would freeze it and then put the frozen block onto the hot plate.
Does the butter go until it burns?
It doesn't burn. It just kind of turns. Yeah, it just kind of like turns into this crusty, blackened stuff. And I don't think it was hot enough to get it to erupt into flames.
Too bad.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. When I first did this, it was on my stovetop, and so some of the butter did go into the burner, and then there was a fire there.
That seems like it would be kind of curious if at some point at the end of this video, just the whole environment that you had just caught on fire.
Mm-hmm. Well, I intend on doing more of these, so maybe.
I would feel such removed concern.
That's a funny feeling. Removed concern. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, you have all these live feeds, and suddenly there's fire.
Yeah. Well, after I set this up, I thought of that too, because I had made the decision to not use any pre-recorded video in this show, but then I decided at the last minute to put this in here too. And in one of my versions of this show, I was going to have someone up at the shed reenacting some of these things with a live video feed, but then I had too many spinning plates. So, but it is interesting that if you have all this live video, and then you have a recording of something that you did in a space, maybe some of that. Once you learn to experience the video in the space as a kind of a live thing that's happening that you're involved with, maybe if there's one piece or maybe two pieces that are pre-recorded, you can make a connection between them like that and experience it in a way that you wouldn't have if it was all pre-recorded.
Right. I mean, in the end, what's the difference really?
Yeah.
You have no real control. I mean, the internet pieces it's something, but these pieces you have no actual control over.
Yeah. Although people kept hanging up the Skype to the shed and would call other people, but that's okay. I mean, if they're gonna Skype people sitting on a oak bench on concrete blocks and looking at a VGA monitor in this gallery and have it be associated with this work, then I think that's kind of exciting. Intervention.
No, one way? Could the people in the shed see?
No, there's no camera over there.
Okay.
But I think there's a chat interface in Skype that you could use.
was that I forgot when I got there that there was a video here, and then I was like, wait, where's the camera? And I couldn't find it for the longest time.
Oh, for this?
Well, no, for
For those.
for down
okay.
there, yeah. And I was like, and then I realized for about 30 minutes I was standing in front of it. So it was like for 30 minutes it was.
When you were at the shed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Where's that camera? I'm like, look.
Did you find the outside camera?
Yeah, that's the one I was
Oh,
trying to find.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The outside view of the shed is a little webcam, and it comes in this when you buy it, it comes in this little plastic enclosure, like that packaging that you have to take apart. But I just left it in the packaging because it protected it against the rain. And I nailed the plastic to a log. Okay, stuff 2 times.
All right, to the Robert C. Turner. Or wait, add it.